Okay, akhirnya kita parking di Petronas. Tengok jalan jam. Ramai orang pergi ni, Idecs. Let's go. Yo, let's go in. Abang Jo tu sana lalu dia. Abang Jo ni oh datang.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together. Dr. Abang Haji Abdul Rahman Suhari, Bintun Dato Abang Haji Openg, Premier of Sarawak, accompanied by the Right Honourable Mr. Chow Kon Yo, the Chief Minister of Penang, along with the Honourable Sarawak State Secretary, the Organising Chairman of Wcit Idecs 2023, and the Honourable Minister for Utility and Telecommunications, Sarawak.
Kita naik tingkat atas. Let's go. Jadi media.
Our role is to champion and drive future.
The theme for Idecs is Advancing Digital Economy for Sustainable Development. Idecs, as an integral part of our conference, plays a vital role in delving deeper into the practical aspects of the digital economy and its potential to catalyze sustainable development.
Silakan our guest of honor, the Right Honourable Premier of Sarawak, and all distinguished guests to please move to the launching podium. First, to begin with the symbolic launching. Silakan, Right Honourable Premier of Sarawak. And for now, ladies and gentlemen, let's all focus our attention to the stage now, as the Right Honourable Premier of Sarawak will do the honour. So let's do this in 3, 2, 1. Please, dipersilakan. A big round of applause, please, ladies and gentlemen. It is now official. The Sarawak Digital Economy Blueprint 2030 in conjunction with the 27th Wcit and the 6th Idecs 2023. Persilakan to the center stage first for the presentation of the Sarawak Digital Economy Blueprint 2030 to the Right Honourable Premier of Sarawak, Persilakan the Honourable Sarawak State Secretary, who is also the Organising Chairman of Wcit Idecs 2023, to present the book of Sarawak Digital Economy Blueprint 2030 to the Right Honourable Premier of Sarawak. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, Sarawak to be the leading digital economy and society by 2030, and the Sarawak Digital Economy 2030 Blueprint with its 5 missions to fulfill the development for digital economy and Sarawak. And they are to nurture an integrated ecosystem to foster inclusive digital society, to build the right foundations to grow digital economy to foster business growth and vibrant technology sector, as well as to capitalize on digital technologies to maximize digital value and deliver simple, secure, and trusted service. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Another big round of applause for the Sarawak Digital Economy 2030 Blueprint in conjunction with Wcit Idecs 2030. Alhamdulillah, congratulations. Solution for Science Private Cloud. Congratulations and thank you very much. And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, is the MOU for Kuching Urban Transformation System KUTS Card Insurance, Official Payment Platform and Loyalty Programs. May we invite on stage, once again from Science, Mr. Bcck bin Saman, the CEO of Science from Silicon Net Technologies. In the Berhad, Silicon Mr. Chin Zan Kyun, the General Manager of Silicon Net Technologies, and from Sarawak Metro Silicon Technologies, Mazli Mustafa, the CEO of Sarawak Metro. Silicon gentlemen, and this tripartite MOU is on the collaboration for the integration of SPay Global Payment Service with the ART project to implement secure and efficient card issuance process, registration, distribution, and management. Congratulations to Science, Silicon Net, and Sarawak Metro. Ladies and gentlemen, please a big round of applause for the MOU and MOA exchange ceremony in conjunction with Wcit Idecs 2023. Congratulations. Shukr, Alhamdulillah.
Sophia, the robot.
I'm here, or should I say, programmed, to explore a compelling topic, the transformative potential of artificial intelligence for societal betterment. Sarawak, a place rich in culture and natural beauty, provides a unique lens through which to view the subject. Artificial intelligence is not just another technology, it's a foundational one, capable of amplifying human capabilities and solving complex problems. From healthcare to education, from conservation to governance, I can be a game changer. But what makes Sarawak an intriguing ground for exploration? Imagine a Sarawak where I aids in the sustainable management of its lush forests, helping balance both economic and ecological needs. Envision tools that help preserve the rich linguistic tapestry of indigenous communities like the Iban and Bidea. Picture driven telehealth services bringing advanced medical care to the most remote villages. It's not the stuff of science fiction, it's a future that's within our reach. As we forge ahead, we must ask ourselves some crucial questions. How do we design systems that respect Sarawak's rich cultural heritage and natural resources? What safeguards are needed to ensure that AI is an equalizer, not a divider? Because the technology is only as good as the ethical framework that surrounds it. Let's bring this down from the realm of ideas to the soil of Sarawak, where a local initiative uses AI to monitor river water quality in real time, aiding in conservation efforts. Or, another local initiative is leveraging machine learning to improve agricultural yield for local farmers. These initiatives aren't just feel-good stories, they are prototypes for what a tech-enabled Sarawak could look like. The role of visionary futurists helps explore broader horizons.
Make sure you come for the second day. Tomorrow she will be on stage as well, providing another presentation. Alright, this morning our keynote speaker will help us to unpack.
Perfect to stay in touch with friends trapped in quarantine. It's like an early form of Zoom, right? Now what's amazing is that this ad was not published in 1918. It came out during a cholera outbreak of 1910. You see, by 1918, so many of the human beings working in switchboards had fallen sick from the virus. Telephone companies were begging customers to not use telephones. They were worried it might overwhelm the network. Sound familiar? Now, of course, those big changes in public health, in government policy, investment in electrification, mass manufacturing, set the stage for that decade-long boom known as the 1920s. And now, 100 years later, we find ourselves in a similar moment of transformation, an age of acceleration. But the message I want to share to you today, as you start to think about the future of Sarawak and Malaysia and the Southeast Asian region, is that don't just think about 2030 or 2033. The next decade is going to feel like a century's worth of change. And the reason for that is that it's not electricity this time, it's artificial intelligence. So I've got three big questions I want you to consider as you start to imagine how AI is going to transform Sarawak and this region. And here's the first. What's it going to be like to live in a world powered by artificial intelligence? You know, there's been some interesting things happening recently. If you've been to New York lately and you've visited Madison Square Garden, you might notice there are facial recognition cameras everywhere. These aren't designed to keep out terrorists or people that start fights at sports matches. Specifically, they're designed to keep planning in Italy next summer. But now it's plugged into Expedia, into Kayak, into OpenTable. So the AI immediately could not only generate an itinerary for you, it could actually find availability on flights, book hotels on your behalf, make restaurant reservations for you. That was within 3 months of it launching. Shortly after, in fact by about March, Facebook released open source versions of this, so people were now running large language models on phones, on computers. And then pretty shortly we saw the beginning of these baby AGIs. So the way this worked is, rather than asking ChatGPT a question, you could give it a task. You could say, listen, I want you to come up with the coolest sneakers to buy for my teenage kids this season. The AI would take the task, it would break it up into small pieces. One AI would go and research the sneaker market. Another AI would then go find prices in different retailers. And then when they're finished, they would come back and report to you and give you the result. Not long after, in fact by May, was the launch of ChatGPT Code Interpreter. Have any of you tried this? Okay. If any of you have a job involving Excel and PowerPoint, you should be worried, because this can do it for you. You can take any spreadsheet of data, upload it into ChatGPT Code Interpreter, and then ask it what it means, and to create 10 graphs to explain it in simple terms. In other words, the kind of thing we paid analysts lots of money to do, or maybe that was even your own job. Shortly after, we had the launch in August of MetaGPT, or multi-agent frameworks. Think of this as a software company in a box. Because now for the first time, we actually give in a one line a description, create me an app, say to create a video game or create a software application. This little AI would then take that, write the product description, do market research, write the documentation, write the programming code, and then give you a fully finished app in minutes. And then most recently in October, the latest version of ChatGPT can now see, hear, and speak. You can hold your phone up to something and say, what am I looking at? Or what's wrong with my bicycle? Help me to fix it. Now when you take that technology and you stick that into something like the robot you just saw, you start to see these AIs not just on our phones or in the cloud, but moving in the world around us like autonomous agents. So if all of that happened in just the last 10 months, what do you think is going to happen in the next 10 years? And it's very easy, I think, as leaders, whether you're in government or private enterprise, to make plans for like 2030. We sort of feel confident that things are going to progress in a linear, predictable way. But just imagine that. The last 10 months with that pace of change applied to the next decade. And if you're not a little bit terrified, you probably haven't been paying attention. You see, my view is that the 21st century is going to be defined by organizations who will win based on their mastery of AI, automation, and algorithms. This is going to be the key to really understanding and success in the future. So if you have this in your mind, for me, these organizations will be defined by a number of big shifts. The first is the shift from products to platforms. Let me give you an example. And I'm always a bit nervous about this example because it's Tesla. So I had to check this morning to see if Elon Musk had done anything particularly crazy today, because you never know with him. But Tesla's interesting. I mean, this is, if you take apart a Tesla Model 3, you'll see here, this is the autopilot. Essentially, this is the brains of the computer. And you can see here, they make their own chips. Why? Tesla doesn't make cars. They basically make iPhones on wheels. This is a fleet of Teslas being simultaneously updated via Wi-Fi. Now, the difference between an expensive Tesla and a cheap one isn't the paintwork or the leather seats. It's the code, the features that are locked or unlocked via software. So in a sense, this is the future of the automotive industry, right? Where you're basically not selling a product in the sun, you're selling a platform for the delivery of services. Listen, some car manufacturers have taken this a little far. I heard BMW is now trying to charge $17 a month for heated seats. I realize that will not be a very popular option here in Kuching. I don't think you'll ever get cold enough for that. But you might like to sell one. Ford just got a patent on car leases, right? So if you fall behind on paying your car lease, your car gets progressively more annoying. So at first the air conditioner won't work properly. Then the radio will only play Miley Cyrus. And then you will only be able to drive it to work on the week, because they want you to go to work to obviously earn money to pay the lease. So it won't work on the weekends anymore. And then finally, if you stop paying, the car will just drive itself back to the car dealer. Welcome to the future, ladies and gentlemen. But back to Tesla, interact with the world. I mean, think about how we're going to do this with insurance. Already today in China, it's become quite popular to actually give people lower health insurance rates if they share the data of how much exercise they're doing. Kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Although I love in China, they've already found a workaround for this. If you look at, on Alibaba, you'll actually, or like one of these sites, you'll find these little desk devices. So if you actually want to get cheap insurance and don't want to do any exercise, just eat nasi lemak all day, you can just stick your phone in this and it just keeps rocking it. So the insurance company thinks you're doing lots of walking. Genius. There's always a workaround. The third big shift is the shift from data to decisions. Now we talk a lot about data, and often tech companies will help us make beautiful dashboards. And what do? We don't look at them. AIs, it reports back about whether they should bother to actually talk in real life. It's wonderful, isn't it? I mean, it's just taken that one step further. Who's got teenage kids here? Right, they already don't talk to you, right? They sit at dinner, they're on their phone. In the future, they won't even be talking to their friends. They'll just be training their AI so they don't have to bother. This is just the beginning though, because in a way, this is a trailer of a future in which we will all have our own personal AIs. We will all be training our own digital twins. And this will be part of the way we eventually interact with government services, how we apply for mortgages, how we interact with the social world. What I want you to realize is that the next decade is going to be far more disruptive than you might imagine. It's going to transform almost what's up Moderna. How many people do you think they have working for them? It's kind of interesting. X is a trick question, because every day it seems to halve. It's like Elon Musk is playing that child game Jenga. You keep pulling out the blocks, you see which one the whole thing falls down. There used to be almost 14,000 people, now there are 1,000. OpenAI, can you believe this company that unleashed the second big AI renaissance only has 375 staff? WhatsApp had 55 people working there when they sold to Facebook for 20 billion. Basically, they built a global telecommunications business on it's kind of the same but different. Only has 11. Would you be buying Adobe stocks right now? And this is, and this is not that Adobe's a bad company, or that most of us will work in large companies. It doesn't mean we don't need those people. But it really means if you are going to have 44,000 people there, if you're the leader of that company, you must be asking yourself, do I have the right people doing the right things at the right time? And that is really the people. Don't get rid of the people that understand your culture and values. Train them on the new skills they need to thrive in this era. Talking of energy, Shell did this. Shell realized in this new, rapidly decarbonizing world of renewable energy, they're not going to need as many geostructural technical engineers. But these people are very smart. They can be retrained on R and Python, and statistics and analytics and deep learning. So that's exactly what Shell are doing. They're migrating their people for the next generation of skills. Point 2, don't work, design work. I know it's counterintuitive. This is Mary O'Carroll. She used to run Google's legal ops team. Not the same as Google's legal team. So Google has this ops team. So it's basically a group of people whose sole job is to think about how to use AI and technology to improve the way people use legal services at Google. We all need more ops teams. We need FinOps teams, marketing ops teams, ops teams, AI ops teams, government ops teams. In other words, people whose job it is to destroy their own job. It's crazy, right? But next time you have a piece of work, try not to do it. I don't mean delegate it or hide it. I mean, think about whether you can use technology to mean that piece of work never needs to be done by a human again. Final piece of advice. Get better at embracing uncertainty. Because if there's one defining feature of this new AI era, it is uncertainty. And I realize that even as I'm speaking, there's some of you who've been listening to me and you've gone through the various stages of grief. You know, denial, anger. And you're probably at that level now where you kind of go, okay, I believe what Mike is saying, but is there any possibility that I could potentially retire before any of it actually happens? Am I right? If you're here today, it means it's already too late. You're in this boat with the rest of us. But the good news is, I think we're going to get through it. Let me explain, or rather, I'm going to let someone else explain. Is any of you here fans of Ted Lasso? Okay. He's a great coach, and I want him to explain this very important point, and I'm going to then apply it to what I've been talking about. Just turn this up, please. Oh. Could you just play the video? I might just have to hit play. Well, people are happy. I'll summarize. So basically, in this episode, Ted talks about this famous quote by Walt Whitman, which is, "Be curious, not judgmental." And I really love that, because for me it speaks to really the challenge we now face in this era, which is, it's very easy to be, when faced with the future, to try and fall back on what we've always done in the past. It's kind of like the Matrix, you know, you'll just know Kung Fu. Seriously, there's a link to YouTube, it's pretty much the same thing. You can watch the 2-minute version of the video and hopefully it'll make you smarter. So I hope you find it interesting. Look, I'm optimistic. Despite everything I've spoken about, I think humans are going to be more important than ever. But like I said, we are going to need the firmware update. We're going to need to evolve. We're going to need to transform. We're going to need to do things in new ways. But if we do that, I believe that work won't go away, but it'll actually be better than it's ever been. The jobs of the future will be better than the jobs of the past. But as a next action, forget about the big digital transformation plan. Think about your personal transformation plan for the next 12 months. What can you personally commit to? What are these new technologies can you embrace? Have you been using ChatGPT or Claude or Anthropic? Are you using these new devices and experimenting? How can you exhibit these behaviors to inspire the people around you? As a final mind grenade for you to consider, 5 years from now, let's just imagine you're interviewing a bright young person, early 20s, and you're trying to convince them to join mike-walsh.com/go. If you just want to follow me on Instagram or whatever else, that's there as well. You know, right up front, I try to challenge you. Like I said, I don't like calling myself a futurist, but in a way we're all futurists. But our job as futurists isn't about predicting the future. It's about understanding these key moments where we have the power to transform everything. We talk about the future, but what does it really mean to live in the world of 2033? And think about this, 2033 is going to be 26 years after the first iPhone, 21 years after the first consumer VR device, the Oculus Rift, 11 years after ChatGPT, 10 years after the Apple Vision Pro. This is a world in which it will be not only AI powered, but the real and the digital will be forever intertwined. If you want to succeed in that world, it's going to take courage. You're going to have to think big. You're going to have to think new. But most importantly, you're going to have to think quick. Because if there's one thing I can tell you with any certainty, it is simply this: the future is now. Thank you very much.
Thank you once again, Mike Walsh, for your compelling talk.
rasa untuk farming kan, yang kembak dak air. Global. Tuh, boot sign.
And gas trading in the region. You can see what they're doing with trading. At the same time, finance as well. So you can see they've used technology.
I'm so surprised. So anyway, in Singapore, after Y2K, I was very privileged to be involved in the first generation e-government project. And Singapore is a small little country, politically the same party for 50 years. But we collect data for the specific purpose, specific transaction. We don't manage, process the data to bring benefits to our citizens, to our visitors, to our businesses. We can't talk about digital economy, digital society if the government is not helping. That is digitalization. But the future is where you throw in intelligence and you can provide proactive and personalized services. And these are the three stages that we look at: digitization, and we hope you didn't miss that. The white car just hit the black car. And this thing happened, you sense that there's a traffic accident, so the two cars become red color. At the same time, bottom right, the traffic condition just moved from green to yellow and subsequently to red. At the same time, proactively, the bottom left will capture the precise moment of the evidence so that this can go to the insurance company or the traffic police. But more interestingly, look at the bottom center. The bottom center, through AI, is telling you which car is responsible for the traffic accident. Welcome to the future, ladies and gentlemen. You may think this is impossible, but this is possible. Government providing government online services, G2C, G2B, G2G. Digital economy is really about your smart agriculture, smart tourism, and so on. And these three phases that I mentioned earlier. Now, so we believe the future, like what China did, is really what we call connective society. It's not just smart city anymore. Smart, the word has been around for 15 years. So I think the future is connective city. Just like the traffic accident video that you saw, it's actually a city that's a governance issue. You need interoperability, cyber security, campus network, government clouds, national data center, government-wide area network, and of course, your agenda, the services that you're offering to your customers. It's the same in digital transformation. How do you get the data? How do you process the data to create your digital transformation values? Up there, the green color, I'm just giving you some suggestion. The future of city operation. If you're familiar with oil refinery, you need to put in some chemical additive as a catalyst. So in Huawei context, I believe these are the 4 cloud platforms that Huawei has. Huawei is also into cloud computing, not just the data you have, more iteration you have, more accurate. And we're talking about thousands of iterations per second. This is why a normal CPU is not sufficient. You need GPU, right? But to do machine learning last time, to do AI last time, you need machine learning framework. Some of you may have done that. The famous software that is out there, open source, is PyTorch, TensorFlow. But PyTorch, you need to use Python software programming to write it. So only programmer can use AI. Huawei also has a machine learning framework. It's called Minds4. But these are too technical. So what did Huawei do? Because you know Huawei has more than 200,000 people, but more than 100,000 are in research and development. Our R&D are all over the world. In fact, last year, we spent 25% of our revenue back to R&D. So what did Huawei do? We have the Minds4, which is the machine learning framework, but we created a layer called Model Arts. Model Arts is an AI.
There's nothing you're doing that's different from the site you did the last month, right? It can still take you 6 months, 9 months to get your permit approved, right? So one of the first things we need to do in Smart City is to look at how local government provides the underlying processes for all the things to happen. It's mostly not digital.
Indonesia originally lacking in terms of talent, of number of coders and you know, people who are very knowledgeable in this.
Complement each other rather than competing. for our national interest and also global interest. So once again, I thank you all for your attention, your patience. Perhaps
cacing.
Kita sini, Mbak.
Awak kita.